Over 1.5 million households have less than $1,000 in savings. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee because we're going to look at an article from news.com.au highlighting, well, the decline in the number of households that have less than $1,000 in savings. And one thing that's quite encouraging about this article for a change is that it discusses the idea of having an emergency fund. Now, this is something everyone should have. An emergency fund of 3 months, 6 months, money set aside for if there's an emergency. I'm quite the fan of Dave Ramsey, and they have their steps for getting out of debt. And part of it is, the first step is to build a micro emergency fund of just $1,000 before you start hitting your debts. And that is because if something comes up, if you need a part of your car fixed, an emergency cash spend, you've got that money right there so you don't dip into your debt again. That's the first part of the journey. So $1,000 to many of you may not seem like a lot of money, but to some people, it's that first step out of the debt journey. And it's a worrying sign if you've got so many households in this country unable to raise that much money. But, well, if we have a look, I'm going to bring up this chart here that I've shown many times. This is the 3 levels of household income. High income, you're sitting over $2,000, everyone. And don't think these indicate stress levels. You could probably be at the lowest income, the adjusted lowest income, and have less stress, but usually not. Middle income is about 900, approaching 1,000. Where the adjusted lowest income of a household, $433 a week. So it will be hard for someone to save $1,000 together if you're sitting on that level, everyone. So let's have a look at this article written by Sarah Sharples on news.com.au. MeatBank reveals how many Australians have less than $1,000 in savings. Households with low cash savings are at significant risk, especially in instances of extended strict lockdowns, one expert has warned. And we've seen it again and again where people that are stuck in a situation like this, they get desperate, they go to loan sharks, they go to money launders, they go to people who, insane rates. The difficulty is the poorer you are, the more expensive it is to get money often. Because, well, people don't want to risk lending you money, do they? So, as millions of Aussies remain in lockdown, alarming data shows that 1/5 of households have less than $1,000 in cash savings. Now, that 1/5 of households, we've got about, what did I look at it, over 8 million, 8.6 million or 8.8 million households in Australia. And, well, that works out to 1.6 million households, everyone. Less than $1,000 in cash savings. It's a drop of 6% compared to before the pandemic, new research has revealed. It's also found nearly a quarter of Aussie households reported that if they lost their income, they'd only be able to maintain their current lifestyle for 1 month. So a quarter can only maintain their current lifestyle for a month. We're looking at the household. Here it is, household liquidity buffers. Renters, we're seeing 2 months. Indebted homeowners, 4 months. And this is the median expenses. Outright homeowners are 10 months. So what we're definitely seeing the bottom quartile here. While 11% would only last 2 weeks. That's crazy. The equivalent of a short COVID lockdown, the report from MeatBank found. However, it wasn't all grim news, and a new record high for stashing cash, with 58% of households typically saving $960 per month. Now just think about that. 58% of households are able to save $960 per month. But then when we have a look here, everyone, other households are barely making double, 433 times 4 a month. 860, 12, 1,600 would change a month. This is Australia is a 2-speed economy in many regards. There's a group of, there's households that are doing really well, that are doing quite well. And the problem is there's a disconnect. And I think, honestly, some of our politicians don't realize how tough some people are doing it. Yet the survey also found 34% of households spend all their income, but did not overspend, and 8% overspent by $483 a month. Now, hopefully that's only a temporary thing. Despite more household savings and an overall greater comfort with cash savings, there's still a significant proportion of Australians that remain highly vulnerable to a loss of income, said Jeff Orton, ME's consulting economist. With pandemic lockdowns continuing to occur across Australia, households with low cash savings are at significant risk, especially in instances of extended strict lockdowns like we're currently seeing in New South Wales, Queensland and Victoria, he said. While most households, with most households, financial comfort has bounced significantly higher than pre-pandemic levels, including for singles, couples without children, but this wasn't the case for many Aussies. There's still sections of the population, for example, single parents, insecure workers, including casual and gig economy workers, the unemployed, and self-employed Australians who aren't feeling as financially comfortable, Mr. Orton said. These groups are highly susceptible to changes in government support and ongoing turbulence during Australia's economic recovery. So the shadow financial pandemic in Greater Sydney. Another survey found Greater Sydney is suffering a shadow pandemic of financial stress driven by unemployment, underemployment, and rapidly depleting savings. It found 10% of Sydney-siders have $1,000 or less in savings, 9% have less than $500 or less, while 8% stated they had no savings at all. The poll from online financial brokers SelfWealth found. Concerningly, 35% said they lived paycheck to paycheck, while 12% of respondents reported they had lost employment and 22% said their hours had been reduced. Almost a third of Sydney-siders said they have 1 month or below worth of savings to keep them going. Almost a fifth said they have 3 months in the bank, while 31% said they had 6 months to a year's worth saved up. While 50% of those surveyed were looking to government support for financial assistance, a fifth said they would turn to credit cards, 12% would redraw on home equity, and just over a quarter would borrow money from family. There may be another shadow pandemic of debt and insolvency unless there is more support, financial relief, or an opening up of the economy, according to Bill Svolas, Managing Director of SelfWealth. As we all know, the longer this goes on, and less income we can generate through productive work, the more it puts our economy in a precarious position, with 29% of respondents saying they can only keep themselves going for another month if they are to become solely reliant on savings. After that, who knows what will happen to these people, he said. If lockdowns continue without additional support from government or elsewhere, Australians may have no Christmas to look forward to in a financial sense. Something must be done to balance the economic costs with the health benefits of continuing lockdown. Well, here's the thing. The government has a duty of care. The government is intervening in the economy, and they are forcing people to lock down. So, we can complain, we can bitch and moan about the huge amount of debt that the government is racking up. But we have to put that aside for a moment. The government has a duty of care to these people because it's forcing them. It's no different if you're locked in a prison. The government has a duty of care to their prisoners. The government has a duty of care to their citizens that they're forcing to endure this. Emergency savings. Now, this is what is so encouraging in this article for me, to actually see a discussion in a mainstream news article about emergency savings. Now, I know it's news.com.au, it's more conservative than ABC, but still, it's a good sign. It's encouraging. So many articles we've looked at, there's never even mention of it. Every single one from ABC, it's always the poor victim narrative. Poor such and such, who, I had to skip a meal. Oh, I had to do without a Netflix subscription. Oh, I only could buy 3 cartons of smokes. It's never a discussion about people preparing for emergencies. So this is good. In uncertain times, it pays to focus on what you can control, says Me Money expert Matthew Reid. And growing a stash of emergency money can be good for your bank balance and your peace of mind. Having emergency savings is one of the foundations of financial well-being, and it can be more than a lifeline in a crisis. Psychologists say that having savings helps us feel more optimistic and in control. It's a very good point. A handy benchmark to work towards is to have the equivalent of 3 months' worth of regular expenses in your emergency fund. This can give you breathing space to pay bills, buy groceries, and keep up rent or home loan payments. To figure out what you should be working towards, add up all what you spend on essentials each month, then multiply the total by 3. So here we go. Let's have a look at their advice on how to build an emergency fund. 1. Open a savings account you can live with. Some savings account impose strict conditions to earn the top rate of interest. Oh yeah, I've got that with my ING savings account. To earn what 1 point nothing. I don't know what it is anymore. And that's capped at 100 grand, and I got to jump through all these bloody hoops to earn it. Anyway, look for a savings account where you can easily meet the conditions to maximize your return on the money. This will help your savings build gradually over time. Well, an emergency fund isn't about saving. It's not about maximizing your interest. It is about having money there that you need to be able to have access to. If anything, what I would suggest is to have your savings account in a completely separate bank to all your other day-to-day transactions, even to your mortgage, because they've got the all money in clause. The bank can take all your accounts and squish them all together if they want to. So you want to keep it separate. You want to separate your business, your bank, even your emergency fund somewhere else. So you're not pull the emergency fund credit card and just go tap, tap, tap. Oh yeah, I'll pay it later. No, you want to have it separate. And don't even worry about the interest. That's not what's important. This is an emergency fund. It should only be for emergencies. You probably want it to have no cost, no fees, But yeah, I wouldn't worry about the interest. That's not the important part here. Make savings automatic. Set up an automatic transfer that sweeps money into a separate account every time you get paid. Also take the time to plan your year to automatically set aside expected cash injections, such as your tax return, providing further boost to your emergency fund. This can make saving effortless, and you won't miss what you've never had. Okay, I get that. I mean, that's from an employee's perspective. As a small business person, that's impossible advice. You're paid when invoices get paid. And invoices get paid when your clients decide to pay them. Sometimes it all goes out the window. This is where, particularly for one way to build savings, if you want to, or one way I did to just attack the mortgage was micropayments. Every time, a little bit of money here, $5 here, $10 here, $50 here, $100 here, boom, off the mortgage, boom, boom, boom. Every time you build it up. Same thing, chuck money in another account. You get an invoice in, shift some money over there for your emergency fund. You sell a piece of equipment, shift some money over there. You take some scrap to the scrappies, sell some money there, You sell something, you find. Boom, boom, boom. Every little bit. I mean, for us as a small business family, what we do is we kind of separate the finances. Rachel plans out the year. She predicts the whole year. I manage what's coming in and the investments, but she estimates what our tax bill is going to be up to a year, so we can use that to plan. And that's what you have to do in a small business. It's a little different. It's not really talked about much on YouTube, I don't think. Let me know if you're in a small business what you do as well, how you manage that. So 3, have a game plan to follow. A popular way to grow a cash stash is the 70-20-10 plan. Just divide your money between 70% for everyday living, 10% for splurging, and 20% for savings. Okay, I mean, that makes sense. Let me know if you've used that. I haven't used that. So what is the solution or the takeaway here, particularly the fact that people, have so little savings? One thing that really encourages me here that we have mainstream media news discussing emergency funds. And for a lot of people, this may seem simple. This may seem easy. But for some people, it's the first time they may have encountered it. Remember, we didn't get taught any of this stuff at school. I don't know about you. I certainly didn't. None of it at school. You kind of got to figure it out yourself. I think the goal is to really empower your children, to teach them about this, because they're not going to get it at school. So that is encouraging. I think the steps here are fantastic. I think you need to tailor them to your own situation. I would suggest you build up that $1,000 first, and then you start attacking debts. You've got the avalanche method and the snowball method. The snowball method is you target the smallest debt first, regardless of interest rates, so you get the psychological benefit of paying one debt off after another. The avalanche method is where you target the highest interest rate debt and you pay that off first because it's the smartest way to do it. It's the most cost effective. Your money will have more punching power if you pay the highest interest rate first than the smaller one. The snowball is best if you want the psychological reward, where avalanche is best if you have self-control. But at the very least, this is encouraging to see that people are writing about it, but it's concerning that you've got so many households that have got no money. As always, thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one in the comments down below. What advice would you give someone who's in this situation? As always, if you're a fan of the channel and enjoy the content I create here, there are a few ways you can support us. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. Sign up for SelfWealth or Stake. Use our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband. You can buy a merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. I'll see you next time.